Cheat Code. Hey everyone, welcome to Pickleball Cheat Code, the show for competitive pickleball players looking to level up their game. We focus on advanced strategies for experienced players, stuff only the pros really know. I'm Brodie Smith. I'm a 5.5 level player and a coach, and I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Tanner Tomasi.
What's up, everyone?
Today, we're covering the importance of footwork in pickleball. And at the end of the episode, we will be chatting about Tanner's controversial outcall at a recent APP semifinal. Ooh.
That's a good intro to the thing.
If we've done anything to improve your game, share the show with your pickleball community. Tanner, we've touched on footwork often, right? You know, it comes up a lot in everything that we discuss. Why? I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think footwork is the most important thing in pickleball. You can't convince me otherwise. We've said, you know what, we could do a full episode on it. Well, here we are. We're doing a full episode on it. So let's get into it. Myself, I wish I had videos of me playing when I was first getting started, because I know I was Mr. Happy Feet, tap dancing all over the court, looking like a buffoon. I remember my coach would even laugh at me all the time. What was your development process from when you first started to where you are now with your footwork in particular?
I know when I first started, I always, I feel like I had pretty decent footwork right away, but something I really tried to learn was the drag when you hit the dinks, if that makes sense. I never really had that. That was a learned thing that has definitely helped me with consistency. It's a pickleball thing, but learning it definitely is an improvement for your game, no doubt.
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about that. So there's important footwork at different levels of the court. You know, there's different footwork that you're going to do when dinking, different footwork that we're going to have when we're at the mid court, and then even at the baseline when we're hitting drives and hitting thirds. It's going to vary throughout. But there are some very common consistencies throughout the court that are like, you know, king rules that you must follow. But let's start off with the kitchen. Like you said, the drag. This is something that a lot of players don't do, but then you turn on and you're watching pro pickleball. You're like, oh, everybody's doing this every single dink. Is it to look cool? Is it to look fancy and flashy? No, there's a method to the madness. There's a reason why everyone's doing the sexy foot drag, as I like to call it. So let's talk about the sexy foot drag a little more and why it's so important. So break that down for us, break down that footwork in particular, kind of what that looks like and the value of it.
So imagine, say you're right-handed, you're playing the left side of the court. Somebody hits like a dink out far to your left that you need to like really stretch to get. So the only way to get that ball is to reach for it, obviously. And if you're reaching for it, you're not going to be able to hit a good shot to it. So what the foot drag does is when you step for the ball, it allows you to take a long, large, extended step and slow yourself down with your right foot, it would be. So you're stepping out to get that ball with your left foot. And then instead of like abruptly stepping over there, hitting the ball and coming back, you're stepping over with that left foot. And then to kind of stay in the flow and put yourself back in action, you're dragging that right foot, allowing you to hit the ball and then pushing off your left. And the drag allows you to kind of push off, stay on balance, and get back in the point. Whereas if you have that abrupt footwork, like it's just not clean or efficient, you're not going to be able to take control of the rally.
Yeah, it comes down to balance, because when you're planting out to the left and you anchor that left leg, really think about setting your footwork, setting that leg as early as you can. And then, like you said, that drag of that right leg where the sole of your shoe essentially kind of comes up off the ground and you're pulling it. It's so you could really, really center your gravity towards your left side of your body and plant. Then the other thing is too, people always rush that footwork as well. You have more time than you realize. Really sink into that left leg when you're dragging that foot and have the mentality of getting underneath the ball. You know, we're trying to brush under it when we're hitting this type of dink and this type of shot. We're getting below the ball. People often, when they hit this footwork, they're hitting kind of flat and parallel at it, and then they're rushing it. That's one of the most common mistakes that I see. And then the other thing is when people plant for this type of shot too, and when they drag, sometimes they will try to like lift their leg out of it as they're hitting the ball. It's really important to separate that out. After you plant, it's important to hit, and then your body will always naturally follow. You know, I never see people hit and then wait too long for their body to follow through per se. The most common mistake I see is they'll try to hit and then lift at the exact same time, right? Versus having that be two separate movements. I don't know if that's something that you see when you're coaching or an
Yeah.
error that you've had to resolve for yourself? I have to coach myself on that a lot too, because a lot of the times I'll try to like pop up as I'm hitting it. And I'm like, oh shit, this is where my inconsistencies are coming from.
Yeah, you want to flow through every shot. It should feel good. It shouldn't feel abrupt or rushed.
Yeah, it's essentially like always separate those two in your mind. Like I'm saying it again because it's so important. It's a hit, and then for any footwork that we're doing, whenever we're planted, whether it's a third shot drop, like we're getting low, we're getting our feet set, we're making that contact, and then our body will follow through after. It's not simultaneous. It's two separate movements. So it's like a receiver catching a football. When they're running the route, I think I talked about this before. You catch the ball first. You grab the ball, secure it, and then you look downfield and run your route. It's not, this is why receivers will make drops. They try to do it at the exact same step of catching the ball and running the route at the exact same time. I'm not a football player, as you can tell by how small I am, but I think that's good advice, and it's something that people can hopefully relate to. Make sense? Cool. So let's discuss footwork at different areas of the court. So we touched on it on dinking a little bit, but I want to drill into that a little bit more. What does your footwork look like when we're at the kitchen? So we'll talk about the kitchen, like when we're in a hands battle, per se. Like, what is your footwork looking like there, and what are some things that you're focusing on with your feet?
When you're in a hands battle at the kitchen line, your feet, you could pretty much be like flat-footed, never flat-footed, but always like slightly more on your toes, but like not stepping around. You want to almost have like cement feet and just use your arm to react, because the less moving around, you're going to be able to react quicker. I would say when you're at the kitchen line, same thing. This is the kitchen line is when you want to be lightest on your toes, always on your toes, moving around. If somebody tries to wrong foot you, you'll easily be able to recover. If you see it like the lower levels, people will get wrong footed or off balance pretty often. Where at the pros, there's reason the pros aren't using body fakes as much or deception. Or anything like that, because the players have such good balance, like they're able to just recover. So the risk versus reward of maybe hitting a more deceptive shot, but maybe missing it, as opposed to hitting a solid shot, it just doesn't line up. Where at the lower levels, like that deception might work because the players tend to lack with the balance because they're not as inclined agility wise. I would say from the baseline, same thing. You want to be light on your toes for the third shot drops. Since you have more time to react, you can be like slightly heavier, almost like a bit more lazy, if that's the wrong word, but you could just be like a little bit heavier on your feet.
More relaxed, right?
Yeah, more relaxed. Like you don't have to be as uptight. The spot where you can be the heaviest on your feet, for sure, like you have nails in your feet for me, is like when I'm hitting resets. Because I really want to plant a solid base and be able to push the ball over softly. I don't want to be tiptoeing around on my tiptoes. Right when my opponent's going to hit the ball, I'm pretty much like cemented in and like really just focused on a strong base and using my arms to absorb with my hips, my knees, absorb that ball back.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point to distinguish, is like we can be at the balls of our feet and be a little light on our toes for kitchen and baseline. But when we're in that mid court, just set your feet. Don't even necessarily need to be on your toes at all. Like you said, like really lock in, calm down early before they hit the ball, right? You know, you hit a little bit of a reset or a pop up per se. When you're in that mid court, set those feet, lock it in, and get those plant feet set. And that's really important too. Let's discuss the transitioning footwork, because transition footwork itself, obviously, like we said, resetting, we're planted, we're locked in, we're not moving. We have good core positioning, but we're low, our feet are set, and we're not doing anything. However, when we're transitioning and trying to apply pressure, that looks completely different, whether it's a shake and bake or a crash or anything like that, where we're trying to apply that pressure. How does your footwork differ there? You know, let's say your partner hits a really good drop, you're approaching the kitchen. Are you staggering your feet and doing like a little chop step and then planting, or what does that kind of look like as you're approaching?
Yeah, I would say just what you said, like you're almost like doing gather steps into a split step and then kind of launching off. When you're poaching, you want to be like, that's when you need to be the most spot on with your feet, the most physical. So I'm really like making sure I'm knees bent, split stepping, gather stepping, make sure I'm in the right spot, and then I can dart off either way. If your feet are wrong there, you'll miss the shot or be late. You have to have elite footwork to poach accurately.
Yeah, because there's two things that you could do there when you're making that transition there's three things. As you're transitioning, you're either going to like really lock in and set for that reset, depending on the height of the ball. Obviously, if you see it coming high, that's when we're getting low and we're getting our feet really calmly cemented into the ground. But if that ball is going to be dipping over the net and you know they're going to be hitting up on the ball, you have two options. You could either blitz straight ahead, or make that the shake and bake. This would be the bake because you're coming in to close and you come in and poach, right? So two different types of footwork between that. When we're going in for that poach, that's more of that lateral movement where we're staying square and having your chest up front. The balance on these shots are like the most important part of it. And I make this mistake all the time too. When I'm poaching, I'll start churning my body more straightforward towards like diagonal cross court. And I'm like running through it with kind of heavier steps. Whereas when I'm doing it properly, I'm staying square. So you'll see the best players when they're making these poaches or these blitz shots, they stay square and they stay in that lateral position. I don't know if that works well for you, but that's what I've noticed for me is when I'm having like that athletic stance and my chest is up and I'm light on my toes, that's what allows me to have that blitz forward to, really just jab forward if they're coming directly at you, or go for that poach shot cross court.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's exactly it.
How often are you doing that blitz? That's not something that I do well. I remember when I was playing with some top pros a while back that they would blitz me often when we're doing like skinny singles or something, and it scares the shit out of me. But the blitz being where let's say you drop straight in front of you and they're going to be feeding that back to you. But right before they hit that ball, you're blitzing straight at the net and you're kind of making an early prediction of that they're going to be getting a little height on that ball and you're trying to get out in front of it. What does your footwork look like there? Are you just kind of like making that fencing jab, like that fencing style footwork where you're like jabbing forward to poke at the ball and go for that roll? Like, how do you set that up properly? It's something that I'm still working on.
Yes, I've actually worked a lot on this, and my partner Richard actually helped me with it really well. So my issue is I'm always like late to poaches or miss them into the net, and it's because my footwork's wrong, meaning I'm split stepping too late. What I'm doing is like I'm running full speed until like I see my partner, it's a good shot, whatever. I'm running full speed, and then I'm split stepping. I'd say like a half a second before my ball crosses the plane of the net. I want to be like split steps and still before my opponents make contact to the ball, because I oftentimes will like just full out sprint and then I miss, or they go behind me, or then I fake my partner out. So my partner drives it. The ball's traveling over our side of the net. Right before it crosses the net, I'm split stepped and I'd say almost the mid court, and then I'm like a linebacker, like ready to dart left, dart right, depending on where the ball goes. But that's been the best thing for me. Instead of only darting horizontal, so like if I'm up the kitchen, left, right, I'm split stepping in the middle, so I'm darting straight and to the left, to the right. It allows me to just read the shot so much easier.
Yeah, it's that straight dart, that immediate blitz. That's what I need to work on. So what were some ways that you drilled that with Richard? Like, how did he help you improve that? Like, what are some things that we could give to myself, for example, to work on in the lab?
So he just told me, we didn't really drill it. He just gave me the input of like, I'm just split stepping too late. So like when we're practicing, when he drives it, I'm making a conscious effort of like split stepping as his ball, like I said, like a half second before it crosses the plane of the net on our side, going onto theirs. So like I'm still, and then darting forward. I'm not just full running with my eyes closed. I'm making sure you can just make sure you're still before the opponent's striking the ball. And that's going to allow you to just have more control of your body.
Makes sense. Okay. No, that's good advice. And then another thing that I wanted to go back to was the footwork when we're hitting softer shots, mainly at the kitchen. And this is the most important thing, I feel like, and something that we have broken down in the past is getting your plant leg set at a good time. So for example, it's always speed to the ball and then slow-mo is how I like to describe it. So if I get a dink to my right leg, and this is something that you helped me out with a ton for my speed ups that we chatted about, was getting your plant leg behind the ball. Can you talk about that a little bit more in terms of what that looks like from your footwork at the net and making sure we're staying square, like, and how that's broken down?
For the speed ups or for everything?
For both. Because I mean, we're still doing the same thing, right? Because that triple threat position that I talked about of getting your plant leg behind the ball, because even for a standard dink and then a speed up, it should look the exact same, right?
Yeah. So like when the dink's coming to you, you want to always like try to take as least time as possible when it's on your side of the net. So like if the ball's on my side, I don't want to just I don't want to let it bounce and reach its apex and come all the way down, because then my opponents have more time to react. Like if somebody's hitting a really sharp dink, I'm like short hop cutting it off to get it back on their side. The only time that I'm looking to like slow the game down and use the time in my favor is if my opponents hit a dead dink. Then that allows me to really like be crafty, especially with the footwork, run around to my forehand, make them think where I'm hitting it. I have so many options: inside out dink, bag, speed up, lob from the inside out position. Really good when you run around.
Yep.
The footwork is always just very light on your feet and really making sure you're taking like those small steps to gather yourself, where almost like the ball is like in front of your pelvis. Like you want it straight on. You don't want to be outstretching. The closer the ball is to you, the way more feel you have for it. When it's outstretched, it's very difficult to grip the ball.
That's where I see everybody making mistakes all the time, that the ball's outside their frame of their body, and it's because of lazy footwork, right? If they had speed to the ball and you got behind it, just try to do whatever footwork you need to do in terms of that quickness early on, where you're anticipating keeping that ball out in front of your pelvis per se, and having that right out in front of your body, because that's where you have that consistency from, where you're in that like boxer position. That's what I like to talk about too when coaching, is like when we're hitting our dinks or we're in a hands battle, everything's out front of us like a boxer, and it's very compact and very, very quick jabs, no big windups necessarily, and keeping everything in front of your frame and square. And that's the same thing when we're hitting dinks or even like a mid-court ball that bounces that we're not taking out of the air, of getting that footwork behind the ball, getting that plant leg set, locked in, slowing down, and then hitting that next shot. Because if you're hitting it outside, that's when things get disconnected because of poor footwork, and then we're making mistakes left and right. Yeah, but I think just honing in on that is the most important thing of all, by far. Question: when we're talking about footwork and like what's right and what's wrong, can we look at James Ignatowicz? You've played with him. What is he doing? Can you talk about his footwork and like why it works for him, but why it's so unique? It's something that, for people that don't know and don't watch James, he moves his feet like he's a construction worker using a jackhammer, and he's just bouncing up and down like crazy. So I think it's hilarious, but obviously it works for him.
I think the whole reason behind that, because I've like experimented with it just to see, the whole thing I think is just to keep mental focus. Like that forces you to be actively engaged with your brain. If you don't do that and then the ball comes to you, you're more inclined to be flat footed and then hit a poor shot. If you're jumping up and down, being ready to go, you're always going to be like on your toes and just more of in the moment. I'm pretty sure that's what it does. For me, that's what I noticed right away. It just helps you be more in the moment for every shot, and you don't go through the motions.
That makes sense. I feel like the mental connection with footwork to your play is key. And whether it's as extreme as that, I think the takeaway of that is that any sort of positive footwork and being really focused on your feet is going to help you for your next shot. So being very mindful about getting those plant legs set will really, really, really help with those next shots. So if you're ever having a bad day in the courts, always think about like, how good is my footwork? Am I really getting my feet set early? Am I doing the right things? Am I getting low? Am I squatting down and getting my plant leg set? Ask yourself those questions early on, and those are usually the answer of why you're missing certain shots. One thing I wanted to break down that I find interesting too is staying parallel and staying open chest, like towards the net, or having your feet staggered. When is your footwork staggered and like you're kind of hitting shots sideways versus when we're square? For me, it's as simple as anything from the baseline, and that's like not a reset, any sort of drive or drop, I'm usually staggered. Every other shot in pickleball, I am square and parallel with the court. Is that with the net per se? Is that the exact same strategy you have, or is it a little bit different?
Yeah, I'd say you're spot on. The only adjustment I would make is like if I'm hitting, say, a third shot drop with my backhand, or if I'm hitting a backhand dink, I like the form of being able to draw a line with my feet to the target.
That's
so
right.
I'm sideways like that. I don't like to hit open stance for those shots, because then you tend to arm it, where when the form that I use, you tend to use like your whole body, your shoulders into it. But besides that, I would say, yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah. So, and then you're parallel drawing that line. So like essentially your feet are literally pointing to your target whenever you're hitting those drops or any of those shots.
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay. So some of the takeaways I had that, the baseline, like if you're going to take away anything home, it's playing on the balls of your feet. Like we talked about, being lightly engaged where it's not too tense, except for that mid-court. We want to be solidified, cemented, and planted. Speed of the ball, then slow motion. Getting that plant leg behind the ball is so important. And then another thing we didn't mention that I just realized too is always having our weight and our balance with our footwork when we're planted being slightly forward. We don't want to be falling forward, but I feel like having that weight forward, especially when we're hitting those drops in our drives, and having our weight moving forward helps so much. Because when we plant and when we're hitting any of the shots on our heels, that's where I see people missing short and having mistakes all the time. And then staying parallel, like we just discussed, having that chair style defense, like in basketball, like you're squaring up against somebody at every point of the court besides the baseline is key. Cool. So I wanted to finally chat about ways to improve your footwork. So what are some things that you did to get your footwork better? Was it simply just like watching pro level play, getting some coaching from people like Richard? Like, what did you do to make that better yourself?
Yeah, the way I got good footwork was watching the pros and then just doing a lot of drills. You're not going to be able to efficiently hit the shots if you don't have good footwork. So the more drills you do, the better you're going to get with the shot. And just if you're doing a bunch of drills, like you're going to figure out the footwork yourself pretty easily because, I can't stretch for the ball like that. It keeps going into the net. Where if you don't drill, you might not discover that. But if you drill and hit it 20 times and 19 it goes into the net, I need to change something. My feet, I'm outstretching the ball by my 2 arms length,
Yeah. So I think drilling, number one, and then number two, if you're looking to like really enhance your footwork off the court when you're not playing, there's 2 things that you can work on. It's any sort of like fast twitch muscle movements and exercises. So starting, for example, like doing a shuttle drill where you start on one side of the court, the left side, and you're getting really low and you're working on your very, very fast twitch movements. So you'll shuffle and you're staying square towards the net, and then you touch midline, go back, staying square and having good balance as you're doing it, not reaching over when you're touching the line, then going back, touching the line that you started at, and then reshuffling back square all the way to the other side of the court. Doing that over and over from both sides. So we're dropping and planting into each leg and really emphasizing that lean down because that's such a common like foot drag style technique. So I'd say doing that a lot can be very, very effective in making sure you're getting, in good shape and really working on your footwork there. And then the other thing that I need to do a way better job of is any sort of like muscle building with my quads and then my core. Your quads and your core are the 2 most important things to good footwork in pickleball. So being able to really lean and sink into those legs as much as you can and having that stability. I got little chicken leggies, and that can be a problem for me sometimes when I'm, getting engaged in drilling. I can really feel it after an hour of drilling, and I need to, do that a lot more. Running and walking is probably not going to do shit for your footwork at the end of the day. I mean, obviously it's good for you, but like if you're doing fast twitch related stuff or muscle building for your legs there, I feel like there's nothing better. All right, Tanner, let's wrap things up. Let's go to your recent APP call that you have already addressed, and this episode's going to be dropping several weeks after it happened, but we haven't addressed it on the pod yet. So I wanted to address it on the pod. For context, I was watching with my brother when this happened. This was the APP semifinal match. Was it APP Chicago? APP Chicago against 2 amazing players, Eric and Max Manthau, two beasts. But there was a call that happened that was controversial in the semifinal match. So feel free to break it down and shed some light on it, since you've been getting a lot of questions.
I think we lost the first game, and then the second game, maybe we were up like 9-6, or down 9-6, 9-7. I don't know, something like that. But long story short, Richard, I think maybe it was me. I don't know. It was me or Richard. We hit a drop or something. I think it was me. I think I hit the drop. I like took 2 steps into the court, and then Max, who was in front of me, hit a really good like 4th ball that I was like, oh, this is coming like a missile. I need to get back and reset it, So I think I hit the drop. I'm not sure. That doesn't matter. But I'm creeping into the court. I see him hitting a good shot. So I try to back up. The ball gets like parallel with me, like here. I try to look at it. You can see if you look closely on the thing. Yeah. I can't see the shot. The ball is here. It lands in by like 5 inches. Like we cheated. I owned up to it. Obviously it wasn't purposeful, but long story short, the ball was like 5 inches in. We had a discrepancy. Like we had said like to each other, did you see it? And obviously like if you don't know, you should call it in, but we figured we're on center court.
Fair.
We should try to just ask the ref, get a match replay, whatever. So long story short, we call it out. I'm like, Richard, did you see it? I think I said, I think it was good. And he goes, I didn't see it. I think it was good too, or I think it was out too. I don't know, too much. But somebody on our team said it may have been out. And then we were enough to be like, okay, we think it was out. So then we say to the coach, or not the coach, sorry. We say like, it was so much. I don't even know. Whatever.
I mean, that was a while ago. It's fair. There's a lot of things that went down for sure.
This was like 2.5 weeks or 3 weeks
exactly.
from now. But regardless, we asked the ref. He says, we didn't see it. So then we said, okay, I guess like we'll give it to you guys. We'll give it to you. The ball was in. And then when we said that, like probably realistically, maybe like 4 to 5 people all at once were like, that ball was clearly out, like that. Like people on the sidelines were saying that, like spectators, and they're not allowed to do that. Or that shouldn't influence our opinion. You know what I mean? But
it does.
It influenced our opinion in the moment.
How does it not?
Nope, it was out. It was out. We called it out. And then Eric, rightfully so, was like, no, you can't do that. And then the ref wasn't saying anything. So we kind of just went with it. Like I said, we were in the complete wrong. We apologized. Totally bad on our end. Never will happen again. I received probably like 30 to 50 messages of people telling me that I'm a cheater. They always knew I was a clown, all this stuff. Why would I cheat? But clearly, in any logical world, I wouldn't intentionally cheat when it's a live broadcasted thing. Maybe if it's like on a backcourt, I wouldn't even cheat then. But
I was about to say, wait, if I was going to
cheat, if I was going to cheat, I wouldn't do it on center court in the semifinals when it's broadcasted.
Yes.
But like I said, big misunderstanding. And then I also want to bring attention to Richard and I, after that, did act very immature, like with chirping and taunting, not taunting, but a little bit of taunting after. And I think, like I said, some people not seeing the full story, the very next point, and I'm not putting this on him at all. The very next point, Max Manthau, our opponent, tried to like full bag me, like Mach 50, like in the face. It went into the net, but it was like really hard. So, and nothing gets it. That's part of the game. But it was obviously out of frustration of what just happened when we were in the complete wrong, took responsibility. So then me and Richard started like going crazy, which we shouldn't have. We ended up winning the game. But then like all 4 players, like it just didn't feel right. I'm glad we lost. If we won, it would have been just like such a bad look to win doing that. So I'm very glad they deserved it. By no means did we give them the game. We still tried, but we didn't have that manufactured energy. And with the manufactured energy, the past 2 tournaments we won, me and Richard are still figuring out our partnership. We found out that we play better as a team when we're loud. And the reason is it takes away your nerves and allows you to kind of just like play. And like, it literally turns your brain off from thinking. We are not mentally strong enough to play quiet. So we're like, all right, let's try that. The announcers clearly did not like it. The past 3 tournaments they've had things to say that they didn't like, which is understandable. It's not a good look screaming. So we're definitely going to tone it down and stop with the manufactured energy and only do it on like key crucial points. But like I said, I accept full responsibility. If people watching me see me differently, I understand I was in the wrong, can completely own up to it. So all good.
Well said. Well, I appreciate the full breakdown there.
Everyone,
Tanner is a man of character and never intentionally trying to cheat the system. All right. Yeah. That's my number one takeaway.
I'm like, why would I people like, you knew that you knew it was in. Why are you calling out? Like clearly, but to be fair, if the announcers are saying that ball was clearly in and all 4 players and the ref don't know, they should have like a review system, or they should just say from the announcer booth, the ball was in by like 2 feet. We can move on. But instead, we're trying to figure it out while they have it. You know what I mean? It just, that part didn't make any sense. But I'm not putting it on them. I got responsibility.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, like that's what it should boil down to, because you're never going to get consistency with just human error regardless. How come they couldn't review it? Like were they out of challenges? They didn't have the review system set up?
I heard that they only allow line calls on Championship Sunday, but the equipment's already set up. So I'm not sure why that's a thing, but that is a thing, but it's totally fine.
No, I'm just saying in general, it'd be nice to have for any championship court match, like anything that's on there, like any quarterfinal, semifinal, of course, that's going to add up.
I'll tell you one quick, tiny last story to wrap up. So then we were playing for 3rd and 4th place after, so we were playing our opponents, and like we won the first game, I think like 11-9, but I did not want to be there. Richard did not want to be there because we just cheated badly. Like it just rightfully so. We were just like we just felt like horrible, like human beings. But like I said, I'm glad we lost. But regardless, it was like the second game. It was a crucial moment. We won the first game. It was like 8-8 game 2 for us to win or something like that. The opponents like shank a counter off the paddle and it's like a lob overhead. The ball lands like clearly 2 inches out. And Richard's like, that ball was out. I was like, it was out, but I'm calling it in. I've cheated enough today. And that pissed Richard off so much. He was like, I'm ready to concede the whole match, whatever. And we called a timeout and we ended up winning. But I never would cheat. I would never do anything wrong. Like I said, I've been producing pickleball content for 2 years trying to help people. I would never throw my reputation away just randomly in this 1 second. But like I said, I'm understanding for all sides of it.
We got your back, Tanner. Appreciate the breakdown. You're off the hook now. Don't let it happen again.
I was deeply depressed for like a week.
Don't. Oh, I'm sorry. That's a bummer.
No,
well, okay. just don't do it against me when we play. That's the only thing I ask for.
I'm worried for the next tournament. I'm going to be the most generous line caller ever. The ball's clearly out. It might have clipped,
I hope you face them again, and then they're going to try to get revenge or go.
No, they're all respectful.
No, they know. Of course. Yeah, I'm kidding. All right. Well, thank you for shedding light on that. We appreciate it. But yeah, that's all I got. Good chatting. Keep that forward going.
Thanks.
And been real.
Sounds good.
See you, gang.